Oh, hello everyone. Welcome back. I hope you have a nice short break and I hope you enjoy our great panel discussion with Julia Rasa. Yeah, super informative and yeah, super interesting with very cool panelists. And now we have an individual workshop from Erin Somervail. Yeah, they will be walking us through um, 3D Blender and their Krita workflow. So yeah, we'll be appreciate the experience and some educational activity. So yeah, you want to learn something new, tune in and yeah, give it up to Erin. Yeah, and yeah. Erin, you can take over now. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing all good.
Yeah.
I've
How's
just seen the
summer going?
titles of all of the other presentations, and they look very, very clever. And we'll see if
Oh
we can match
yeah.
that.
Yeah, we smart. Oh
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to be. This is mostly just going to be a sort of guide for people who want to get into doing um, art for game jams, but maybe don't know like where to start. Or just sort of this is basically just presenting a nice workflow that I personally like, that I think is really accessible for basically anyone.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just going to. Is my screen sharing yet?
Yeah. So
Oh, there we go.
I'll
Cool,
let you
cool,
have
cool.
it. Yeah. All right. Um,
um,
yeah. Transition now. Yeah, have fun.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so essentially the idea here is that we're using only software that anyone has, as in anyone could have. So Blender's free, Krita's free. It's a really nice painting program. Um, feel free to ask any questions at any point because questions are helpful. So I'm thinking that we're going to just make I'd like the kind of thing that we could make just a modular level with. So we're going to have to go very fast because I think there isn't a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start with a nice sort of like very, very speedy modular level pack for, like dungeon crawlers or whatever that you might want to make in the jam. So the focus here is basically we're going to make everything on one texture sheet because it's easier to manage, I think, and the idea of the way that Krita works is very, very fast for doing stuff like this. And I think it would be very, very easy to get into. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a file with just, it's taller than it is wide, and this will make sense shortly. Basically, we're going to be making a bunch of tileable textures. So like here is one I made earlier. This is in Photoshop, but the idea is basically the same here. We have roofs, we have walls, we have other walls. And we're going to be basically making the texture first, and then we're going to attach things onto it in Blender. So we're just going to, for the sake of speed, I'm just going to draw out some very simple shapes. We're going to make like a generic dusty crypt. The thing about Krita, the reason that we're using Krita and having such a good time with it is because it automatically tiles. So we're going to start off with the wall texture, the sort of side walls. So very, very powerful tool. You can do a lot with this software. We're just going to not focus too much. We just want to have like a basic idea of what we're going to have. So this isn't supposed to look pretty. This is supposed to just kind of tell us what we're going to be using this piece of the texture for. And there we go, that's good enough. So then we're going to move on to the next layer down, and we're going to call this our floor, I think. So for now, we'll just use this area as our floor. We'll just use that much, and we can always make the texture bigger or smaller depending on what we need. As long as you don't move things around, you don't have to reposition things on the texture sheet. So we'll just give it a nice light texture, and then we'll sort of put in the idea of some sort of tiles, some sort of dusty Krita tiles. We'll put them all the way around so that it tiles nicely. So that's probably enough just to start working. And here at the base of this, what we can do is we can add like a nice nice trim at the bottom, where we'll add a sort of I guess we'll add sort of like bricks at the bottom, just so that we can have like some visual interest at the base. And we can also use this at the top, where the bricks meet the sort of sky if we're working top down, or it's basically less of a this is mostly actually just kind of like a pitch. This is basically me saying like, hey, use the software, it's really good. And sort of a demonstration of what you can do in a short space of time with this software. And also, not to mention, it's free. Very good. Okay, so we've got this, and we're just going to save this. I'm just going to save it somewhere random. I'm going to save it as a PSD, just for the sake of convenience. And we're going to open this up in Blender. Going to add the image texture into the material. And we're going to add texture. So we have our textures in now. And what we can do is we can go to the UV editing area on Blender. And this is basically just, we're going to map the floor on here. I'm going to use grid snapping here. So we're going to say, where's absolute grid snapping? Okay, it doesn't seem to work in the UVs, that's fine. But what we're going to do is we're just going to match these up with the edges. And so we've already made this texture so that it tiles. And now we have a basic floor piece. And here's the fun bit of this technique that I've been having a lot of fun with lately, is that we're just going to cut some geometry in here. No fancy sculpts or anything here. We're just going to work sort of texture down, I guess. We're going to start with our texture, and then we're going to turn that texture into geometry with the power of Blender. So we're going to cut some edges here, essentially on the raised bits, because we're going to be pushing this geometry up. So we're going to make these tiles nice and 3D. We don't need normal maps because normal maps involve time, and we do not have time in a game jam. We're just going to push these up. And then mess them up a bit. And then we'll test how these work. Why is it not? Oh, there we go. Kind of inconvenient that it's acting weirdly, but I guess that's kind of presentation luck. Oh, there we go. We're using soft select. So we're just going to quickly get rid of all of this nasty shine from the material. And we should be able to see. It already looks possible. We could use this in the game, and we can just sort of make this look a bit nicer later on. So now we can make some walls. We'll start off with a cube. Get rid of all the faces that we don't need. And we just basically do what we just did. So we make this tall enough, wide enough, and long enough. So now we just add our material, and we do the same thing. We just UV it. We can just cube project this. And then we'll just attach it to a wall. This works. It looks a little bit ugly at the moment, but that all changes when we start to do the UVs and do the texture coordinates. So here we're going to use the base bricks as a sort of top trim. So now here what we can do is we can cut into here and we basically just push this out. We push this in. We can also actually redo this. We'll just put a seam here. And we'll just hit unwrap so that this tiles fully. And I have a plugin that lets me just sort of straighten the UVs. And because there's tiles, if I tell it to tile here with repeat image, you'll see that we can tile horizontally as far as we want. So we can use this to our advantage here. So now you'll see that this matches up perfectly around the edge. What we want to do is we want to make sure that this will tile correctly when we place the next one, which mostly it does. We can just sort of adjust that a little bit. There we go. Now that works, we can put a little bit more effort into making this look nice and good looking. So I think we can make the wall a little bit chunkier. This. Already we've got not the prettiest, but a quick and cheap, because it's free, like wall set. And you could just extend this on. You could add, you know, wooden pieces. You could add windows and magical crystals and whatever the heck you want. In this situation, I've just got all of the stuff for buildings. So I've got square roofs, round roofs, walls, and I've specifically got this so that I can have this section for top walls, like high up walls, and this section for low down walls, with the sort of muck at the bottom. And here with this, I've got low down walls, high up wall, low down stone walls, high up stone walls, and chimneys. So if we unwrap this so that this is at the middle of the chimney, you can have the sort of this kind of wrapped around to the dark middle of the chimney. I can show another one that I use for wood. We basically just have a bunch of different types of wood, and then we have maybe the occasional like special thing like a door and stuff. And here we have windows. So we've just got all of the different shapes of window that have been drawn in, and then we've got the shutters. These are my favorites. I use these the most. They're just sort of a various bunch of planks, and maybe if you had a straight line unwrapped, you could have these. You could have these ones as a sort of boardwalk, so you could, you know, kind of these tile. And then you got sort of like the dark pieces that we want to sort of hide compositionally, and the light pieces that we want to just sort of have as like a little accent. And at this point, we could literally just continue sort of adding in geometry wherever we feel like it. And essentially just making the shape of this more interesting. So always doing one thing that we do over here to the other side. And we can just start adding some cut holes into this mesh, just for the sake of everything that we do here makes it light more interestingly in the game. here, if we now move this over, if you have a light shining on this, you will see this. This really sort of catches the light. And in fact, I have an example here of some stuff in game. So this is using the modular stone wall. And what I've done here is I've sort of cut away the geometry around my texture that I'd spent a while painting. And you can see that it's sort of it catches the light, so you've got sort of nice shadows sort of caught on here. And again, these are using the modular wood, although these are much more simple. Again, like here, this is square and the texture is round, and like really no one would ever notice this, like unless you pointed it out to them. And in a game jam, that never really matters either. And this is also using a piece of the modular textures for the trunk. And this bridge as well. These are all planks. And this is all just unwrapped onto the same sheet with the dark pieces to hide the stuff that we don't want to see, really. And I can also find an example of what we've been doing with the modular textures from this game. Here are the roofs. These are all using exactly the same texture sheet, so I can just have a play with this and show you. So yeah, so these are all basically just unwrapped onto this same line. And the round ones are all unwrapped onto this. And you can sort of see where it starts to break down kind of around here. And these were sort of adapted from other geometry, like older bespoke stuff, that it looks fine. And again, these are some of the windows that I've made out of the modular textures, and they look good enough. They would fit in, and you could just place them on any wall, and it would work. So you can download Krita from. Can I post links? I'll post things. I'm going to assume that unless someone tells me that I can't, I will do it. Hell yeah. So this is where you can download Krita. It's free and open source, I think, and you can support them with money, but if you're strapped for cash and you just want to do a game jam, you can just download. You just download it, and it's just a really nice tool. I highly recommend it. They should be paying me for the promo, but you can do a lot with this program. If you just wanted to make some grass, you can make some grass. Unfortunately, not quite as fast as Photoshop, but we work with what we have, and it works well. Also, we don't need to be working at 2K. You can just work at small resolutions, have a good time. Ooh. I use Krita a lot as well for if you need to do animations as well. This is just going to be another quick tangent, but you can use Krita for animation as well, and I think that's also a very good use for it, especially in a game jam. If you don't want to do what's it called, a ton of fancy stuff, like if you don't have any Substance Designer or Photoshop or whatever, you can do my favorite technique, which is hand animate. And it's got a very, very robust animation system. It doesn't do sort of what, or like many of the things that a sort of more mature animating software would do, but it's a really, really good option for if you're doing a game jam. And I don't know, if this doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. But yeah, so this is essentially just my my 3D art workflow. I've been doing it for a little while now, and it seems to be working pretty well. It's fast, lightweight, free, cheap, and this is something that I've been working on recently. I've just been sort of spending a fair bit of time just kind of adjusting these this geometry, but you can literally just you can just throw art out with this workflow very quickly. There's no normal map baking. There's no fancy sort of academic knowledge needed. It is literally just fire and forget, do your art, make it happen, put it in game. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to. I have no idea how many people are actually watching this, but you are welcome to ask questions if you have any. We have 28 viewers. Oh, wait, hello. I think I may have not been on the channel. Is this is there a chat that I can't see? Because I'm not sure. Oh, that's the private chat comments. Oh, there we go. It's so satisfying to watch a professional working. Oh, I've been looking at the wrong chat this whole time. I'm very clever. I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to read all of the comments that I have not been seeing. Automatic tiling sounds really useful. It absolutely is. I wish I could work this fast. You could. This workflow makes you faster. Battling Blender Mirrorware. What shortcuts did you use in the animating? Right, yes. Let me just switch to the animation workspace. Okay, so I have a lot of custom shortcuts. The reason that I haven't mentioned shortcuts up until this point is that almost every shortcut that I use is a custom one. So I use Z and X on the keyboard to move back and forward. I use C to create a new keyframe, and that's literally it. Actually, like. And I use, what do I just do? Oh, and I use backslash. Wow. Oh yeah, okay. I use the button next to 1, the little grave key to play the animation. Also, the other good thing about Krita animation is that it's all on one layer. You don't have to do the Photoshop thing of like, yes, I need to create a new keyframe. Better create a new layer. How did you make the leaves of grass in their animation? Yes. I can also show that very quickly. Do you mean these? Because if it's these, they are pretty simple. They're basically just using. I basically just did brush strokes in Photoshop or Krita or whatever. Both work. Very simple. I'll actually quickly open up the texture. So these were painted in Krita. Incredibly simple, just painting them. They are completely flat. It looks so pretty. It looks so good with pretty little effort. Yeah, exactly. It's so good for game jams because you just put in 0 effort and it comes out looking pretty nice. And the waving animation is literally just Unreal Engine's simple grass wind. It's super quick and dirty. As long as it looks good, no one will care how you made it. That's the point here. I remember the first game jam I went to in 2015. It was pure magic to see a 3D game with PS1-esque low poly graphics. Yeah, honestly, like it has become so easy, especially now that Blender is usable. Because it's a real talent to get the job done with simple steps. Yeah, it's definitely a skill to work on. Like, a lot of the time, like when you're working professionally, you'll be working much slower, and it'll be much more. Or at least when I work professionally, it takes 3 times as long to do things because you have to do them right. But with a game jam, magical thing is that you don't have to do anything right. You can do anything you want. And I'm just going to sort of while we have still time, I'm just going to work on this just so you can kind of see more of the process. I'm literally just cutting things out as I see fit, as I see that it makes sense. This does not create nice geometry. Do not do this for character art. I think it might be a bad idea, but I'm not a character artist. And so I think character artists might see this and then immediately start crying because the geometry is atrocious. It's a nightmare, but no one cares. It's a game jam. Do what you want. Follow your heart. Make your dreams of video games come true, and don't worry about it. I'm using also a tick box on Blender called Correct Face Attributes, and this means that we don't stretch the texture weirdly. If I grab this point and I just drag it over here, it gets a little bit weird, but like mostly it doesn't upset everything around it. Because if I did not tick this, everything would melt and it would be terrible. So like correct face attributes, very good button. That's my highly rated button. I'm very excited to possibly see what people come up with using this method, because I think it's very cool. And while I'm working on things that aren't for my professional job work, I am going to be doing this because I like it and I think it looks nice. And it's relaxing and it doesn't stress me out. So it's like Bob Ross game development. Also using this technique, sometimes you get these weird kind of issues. And what we're going to do to fix those is we're going to find the problem child here, and we're going to merge. And that's pretty simple. Merge them back together, stitch them up. Suddenly Bob Ross, happy little clouds, yeah. Yeah, here we have another rock to add to our collection.
Hello, Erin.
Hello.
Oh my God, you're so passionate about cleaning up the topology. Yeah. You keep going like, yeah, I don't have to care about it's a game jam, but then yeah, you clean up real quick. I'm like, yeah.
I'm a big fan of
Showing it.
doing things wrong. That's my tagline here.
Yeah.
Big fan of doing things wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's the beauty of game jams, is that you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people do board games at game jams as well, and I'm always a big fan of when that happens. People
Oh.
making games, and I think that it's nice when the definition of game goes past just video games, because honestly, there are more kinds. I think game jams are nice because they're all about breaking the rules, or breaking what people think are the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Erin Ross.
Oh, some more vertices. Clean, and then merge them. Yeah. Pretty rocks.
Yeah. How are we for time?
Oh, we just about time to.
Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you're just right in time. And, yeah.
Yeah, I hope everyone got some use out of this, and I hope that it makes you feel more like you can make things for your game jam, and make more things for your game jam.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Erin, for showing us how to do things. And yeah, I think the audience was super engaged. And yeah, they follow up and yeah, they ask real questions. Yeah, and quite setting our thank you to you too. But yeah, how you feeling after the session?
Yeah, it's nice to be here again. It's always a lot of fun.
We always love to have you. Yeah, in the upcoming jams also. Yeah. Yeah. Super skilled, and I think yeah, it's time to close the workshop, and
Yeah.
hopefully everyone will apply what they seen today. Yeah.